Hey everybody, this is Dal Stone here, and today we're going to talk about how to be more creative. So the first thing that I want to talk about is exposing yourself to more art, right? And dissecting why something attracts your eye. So for example, I'm on here on ArtStation. This is how I get inspired, right? This is how I get my creative juices flowing. It's by looking at other people's work. So I'm looking at this right here. The thumbnail kind of attracted me, right? And so I'm looking at this illustration, and I'm going, wow, why is this attractive? Why is this done so well, right? And you have to look at a bunch of things. To look at how, this is like a rainy day, you're inside, right? It does a really good job at keeping the foreground, which is things that are closer to you, really simple. Like you have the bunny, plushie doll, you have the clock there, you have a few birdies, right? And again, it comes to the rule of three, right? Like you try and always have things in threes or in odd numbers because that attracts your eye a lot better. So, and then you look at how they have these cables kind of going into this building, leading your eye towards to the left. And if you notice, to the left of this illustration is a lot more busy. There's a lot more things to look at, right? And then as you go, and that's kind of the midground. And then in the background, it's a lot more, it's still busy, but it's like, because it's grayed out, it's blurred out, it kind of balances the scene, right? And you look at the different colors and all that stuff. So I mean, that's just me going into a lot of like compositional stuff, but that's how you kind of dissect things, right? And you can go through all of these, and this is someone's Monday art challenge speed painting stuff. And again, you look at it, just how they kind of draw their stuff, and just you have to just kind of dive in and be like, why does this look good, right? And try and think about why you're attracted to it, right? So this one, again, it looks like, I mean, I don't really know what it looks like, but it looks like it's someone going through something, right? And there's this green and red, right, complementary colors, but again, because of these shapes, it looks like some sort of dragon or some sort of creature, right? It leads your eye into the middle here, which is something's happening over here, right? Really nice little flamingo scene. So, and then again, a lot of like just pointing and guiding your eyes. Again, more foreground stuff right here. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I can go all day kind of breaking down a bunch of these things. And then this pistol looks really cool, right? So why does this look attractive? Well, first off, the renders look great, right? A lot of detail, obviously, in the metal work, in the texture work. Like you look at just the edge wear is like really well done. The different materials, how they broke up the materials, right? So this is like more shiny metal here. Nice little bolts, little details, right? And just the details, the little details is what kind of makes this really attractive. Not only that, I really like the clip here, because again, this break in color with the bullet and the clip is just, it's perfect, right? It does such a good job, and it looks so realistic. And because it looks realistic, it attracts our eye, because we're like, this is made in 3D, this actually isn't real, but because it looks so real, it attracts our eye, right? So sometimes being creative, you need to just figure out what looks good, right? And sometimes creativity comes from realism. Number two is being more observant in the real world, right? How is something made? Where are the nuts and bolts? How are the parts connected together? What is the materials made of? The wear and tear, right? So, for example, this fire hydrant, right? You look at it and you go, okay, so I've personally, where I live, I don't see fire hydrants with these chains here, right? So that's really cool. So for something, so like a really cool fire hydrant in my scene, I'd probably pick this one because it just looks different to me and it looks more unique, right? There's nuts and bolts here, right? Yeah, and there's this little ring that connects the chains. There's this little number here. You notice that the rust or the dirt starts there's more of it at the bottom, and that's probably because of how the rain hits it and how water sits on it a lot longer near the bottom compared to the top, right? You look at the edge wear, right? You look at how a lot of the edges are more worn. You look at how the crevices right around these areas here, it's darker, right? Because it's probably got more dirt like collected in it. So these are things that you kind of have to look at, and with that in mind, when you want to create something that's your own, if you can keep those things in mind, your stuff is going to look more realistic, even though it might not be something that exists. Number 3 is a rule that I didn't come up with, but it's a rule that I got from my favorite concept artist. His name is Fang Zhu. He has his own YouTube channel as well. It's called Fang Zhu Design. He has his own school and everything. I aspire to be even slightly close to how awesome Fang Zhu is. So Fang Zhu has this 80-20 rule where you take something that already exists, right, and you change it up by 20%, and that's it. You just change it up by 20%. And the reason why you do that is because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? Especially if you're a student, if you're learning, it's really difficult to be quote unquote creative and come up with something completely original. Like, that's so tough. There's not that many people that can do that. So your focus shouldn't be that. Your focus should be, how do I take something that already exists, put a little twist to it, make it look cooler, make it look more modern, whatever it may be, right? And just change it by 20%. And if you keep that in mind, you'll end up creating something new. So number 4, the secret to composition, right? So read up. You need to read more, right? And so one of the things that you're gonna need to read up on is composition. So I've already kind of spoke about in ArtStation how, like, you lead the eye and stuff like that. So this is on DeviantArt, right? I typed in the secret to composition, and this is a great read, okay? Because it's really important to teach people how to lead the eye inside your scene, right? So some of you might be environment artists, or and in environment artists, you want to try and create an environment, like a scene at some point. And especially if you're a student, it's important to try and create a scene, right? Just creating props here and there, that's good. It's good for skill building, but eventually you want to start building assets for a scene, right? So this is really, really important. It goes through a lot of things, such as contrast, details, framing. Like, this is just really, really wicked things that is so handy. Simple rules and stuff like that. Like, I went to school for this stuff. Like, I paid thousands of dollars to learn this, and to now find that they already have something like this just on the internet. It's just crazy. So utilize that, right? Also, another one that I really like when it comes to perspective and composition is also from DeviantArt, and this one is done by Matthew Laskowski. Sorry if I completely butchered that, but he has like this little breakdown, tips and tricks on how to have better perspective and composition. Kind of goes through all the basics, right, for drawing. And a lot of people are like, well, this is like drawing, like, why is this important? It's because when you're rendering out your scenes, when you're rendering out your assets and stuff like that, you want to have these things in the back of your head. And yeah, sure, you're not gonna, like, I mean, I don't draw very often, to be honest with you. I don't sketch very often, but when I'm set dressing a scene at work, I need to try and make sure I think about these kind of things, because it's important to lead a player, to show a player, to have these wow moments inside your video games. So it's definitely worth a read, just to absorb and to kind of build inside your library, right? So this one's a really, really useful one, and so that was part 1. There's part 2 where it talks more about composition basics. So really useful stuff. Talks about even like some colors. He talks about like contrast and shadows and scaling, and just such a great read. Definitely check it out. Number 5 is read up on lighting, right? So here on DeviantArt again, I found a basic lighting tutorial, and just read it, absorb everything. You're a student, you need to absorb as much as possible, right? So when you're not modeling or making 3D stuff, you're on the go, save these, favorite these, and then just when you're on the bus or when you're about to go sleep, just read and absorb these things. Put it onto your favorites, right? Inside your bookmarks, inside your Chrome, so that way when you are needing to light something, right, you have this as a reference. So this one, I just literally typed in basic lighting tutorials. This person kind of goes through like literally everything, how objects affect each other, and then bounce lighting, and it's just, yeah, it goes into way more detail than I can ever go into detail. So check that one out, and let me know what you think. So number 6 is kind of a follow-up to what I kind of finished off there, which is read up on color theory. So here it talks about colors, right, and complementary colors, and to kind of help you with complementary colors and how to pick colors that will work well together. There's something called the Adobe Color CC color wheel, and this is really cool because you can kind of go through complementary colors. So what if my scene is going to be a lot of blue, I should have a little bit of orange kind of in there, right? And then there's this something called the triad. So it kind of just helps you select different colors really well. These are all the different color rules that you can think of. So definitely worth having this favorited somewhere. I always favorite this somewhere. So when you're creating like a mech of some sort, right, you might have your mech mainly let's say blue, right, and then you might have like glowy lights or something on it, like nice little orange and yellow trims on it. If you have maybe, like, this is why Christmas is green and red, right? So I mean, it's just, again, color theory stuff. Read up on it. Very valuable stuff. Definitely worth checking out. Now, as for more relevant reading, so if you guys are noticing, like, being creative is not just something that happens, right? Like, you have to put time and effort, research, and education to become creative. So this is these are Vertex books, okay, and you can find these at www.artbypapercut.com, and these are amazing books, and he's giving these out for $0. I totally recommend, if you have the money, give him a buck, give him a few bucks. These are so valuable as artists, right? They go through so many things in here. Like, there's just tons of tutorials, tips and tricks from industry veterans, how to sculpt rocks, and there's just so much stuff in here. Like, I can't even name them all. A few, like, I mean, look at this. This is like, I think this magazine number 2 goes through tons of things like modeling, how people sketch things, and just tons of tips and tricks. I bet you anything, if you actually read from beginning to end all 3 of these magazines, you've gained so much knowledge compared to before you've even started. So definitely worth downloading, definitely worth giving a couple bucks to the creators of this magazine. Last but not least, watch more of the movies, play more games, right? But be extra observant, right? Watch every scene very closely. Look at the little details that are in the scene, right? Because things about video games and movies is there's a lot of faking, right? They try and fake a lot of things. They try and get you to focus on certain things, and it's amazing how much they can get away with, right? Like, for example, you'll have a scene, right, where they're just focusing on the characters, so you'll notice that, like, the background might just be up scrolling by background inside a car, right? Like, the focus is the characters, right? You're not gonna care that the background, they're not actually driving, right? If you watch How I Met Your Mother or something like that, right, and they're driving in their car, I mean, you watch how he actually steers a steering wheel, right? It's not realistic. You notice that they never actually turn. You know what I mean? They go straight every single time. It's those little things. Playing video games, you'll notice that assets that are like just filler assets on like the desk and stuff like that. You'll notice that they might not look as high quality as like the hero assets, right? And it's because you don't focus on these little filler assets, right? But if there's a cinematic, right, where the camera's super close to the asset on the desk, they will create high quality assets for those. So it's about just nitpicking when you're watching these movies and these games, and I know it does take some of the enjoyment out, but try to remember that this is part of the enjoyment now, is to nitpick and see how things are being done, right? So hopefully that helps you guys out. If you guys like that video, please press the like button. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section, what you agree with, what you disagree with. Hopefully this helps you guys learn how to be a little bit more creative. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I would love to hear your input on how you how you like to be more creative, or how you get to be more creative. Hopefully you found that video useful, and if you did, I appreciated you pressing the like button, commenting in the comment section. If you don't like what you saw, let me know why you didn't like it, how I can improve on it. Would love your opinion on how you get to be more creative. And subscribe to the channel if you guys are new to the channel, if you guys like what you're seeing. And yeah, I'll see you guys again next time.